Alrighty, folks. It looks like it's time for us to start, and it looks like we're about to go live as well. So, do you guys think it's time to start? I think it's time to start. It's exactly 9:30. We have a big show today, so I think it's time to start by saying welcome to everyone. But of course, the way we start the show is always is always with the opening. So, all right, folks, let's go. Welcome everyone to ThursdAI, December 5th. Our first show in December, folks. Let's go, December 5th. It's a big day today. And I want to say hi to my co-hosts. Welcome. I should work on this transition of music. Welcome, my co-hosts. I want to say hi. I already have folks here. Welcome, Jan Peleg. Welcome, Wolf from Ravenwolf. And I will ask you guys to actually join the Twitter space as well, so folks can see you and follow you. And the folks who are here at the Twitter space with us, I want to tell you all about my other co-host here. As you can see the little square icon here. This is Weights and Biases Weave. This is a new account that I also run and manage. So thanks for Weave for co-hosting this space with me, and also sponsoring the show, obviously. So I will ask Jan Peleg and Wolfram Ravenwolf to join this space with us so folks can see you here as well. And welcome everybody who joins the show, who saw the title and know what we're going to talk about firsthand, because we have breaking news. We often have breaking news on Thursday. In fact, the reason why we're called ThursdAI is this exact reason. For folks who are new here, who just stepped in just because they just saw and said, hey, what is this O1 thing, O1 Pro, and haven't ever heard about ThursdAI, we started the show and we called it ThursdAI when GPT-4 dropped almost 2 years ago. Who can believe this? And well, today we were planning to actually follow the release, the 12 days release of OpenAI a little bit later into the show, when somebody in our green room in our chat said, hey, did you guys see this little thingy? I think it was Stable Quan. Yeah, shout out to Stable Quan, who said, hey, did you guys see this little thingy that OpenAI O1 just showed? And I went and saw it, and then we just saw the start of O1 Pro. So we're going to talk about this today. Definitely a big day. I'm hoping that they're going to show some other things as well. So hey, everybody on stream, I want to shout out that we're live streaming. We're ThursdAI, first of all. So welcome everybody who tunes in from YouTube. I see Peter, I see Real Magic, I see other folks. Welcome folks who tune in from X Spaces. I see a bunch of our folks, Ryan Carson, I see Lucas, Matt, The Voice, Tom Blake, Paul, Alpin. Hey, Alpin, you're more than welcome to hop on the actual thing as well. You have the link. I see Lincoln. I see folks who come in from LinkedIn as well. We have like 3 people. We have a dedicated community on LinkedIn. Yes, LinkedIn community. I love you all. Come on, share it with your friends over there. I want to be the biggest live recording show on LinkedIn. This is what I want to get. And we're ThursdAI. My name is Alex Volkov. I'm an AI evangelist with Weights and Biases. We've here, the co-host is the Weights and Biases product that I'm gonna tell you all about this later. We have the Pampa HQ listening in from Buenos Aires, Argentina. Shout out Pampa. And we're here super excited to tell you about everything latest and greatest in the AI world. And today is going to be a very exciting big day, because, well, there's so much that happened this week. And then Sam Altman said, hey, we're going to tell you all about OpenAI's bag of, calendar of Christmas toys or whatever for the next 12 days. So with this intro, everybody who steps in, again, if you're on Twitter space, you're more than welcome to also tune in the video with us. We will add this actually to the top of the space. Let me actually do this right now, so you guys will be able to know where we are and what we're seeing. Actually, I may be able to ask one of my co-hosts to do this. Wolfram, if you can, that'd be great. if you're in Twitter space, go to the bottom right corner and then tell us what you think about this big news. What is this big news? Let's actually do this. Let's do the thing. Let's do the thing that people expect us to do. I think this warrants the big button. Let's go. AI breaking news coming at you only on ThursdAI. All right, AI breaking news coming at you at ThursdAI. So, what is this breaking news? Folks, today we know of a new thing that we didn't know about 30 minutes ago. As you can see, we know that OpenAI is about to announce that they have a new model that they're going to give all of us. The model is going to be called O1 Pro. In fact, if you go to ChatGPT right now, O1 Pro is already available to many folks. I'm getting pings that my voice is low. Folks, okay, let me let me announce this even better. Making sure that I am good. Let me make sure I'm good. I'm good on space, I think. Okay. Starting again. But folks on Twitter Spaces, tell me again if you can't hear me properly. Right, starting again. Today, OpenAI already showed that you can get access to a new model called O1 Pro. We don't know the details yet, so hopefully during the live stream they will give us some more details. But we knew all along that the O1 reasoning model that we got from them, we only got the preview. The actual full model is significantly stronger. We saw this in the evals that they've released. And so today we actually got some access. So if you right now go to the ChatGPT interface and you choose O1 preview, you most likely, some of you, maybe not folks in Europe, as always, Europe unfortunately gets some stuff less. Wolfram, I'm sorry. You will see this thing that says requesting access to Pro, and this will show you an O1 Pro interface, and it will think likely for longer, and the thought reasoning, the reasoning stuff will show up. So I'm going to add this to the top of the space. I'm also going to show this here on stream as well. This is already happening. Folks are starting to get this. Not only that, so we don't know actually the details. I can tell you that I obviously tested this super quick as we started. Wolfram, did you already get this? Yam, did you already get this? Did you guys already saw this for yourself?
I got it on the chat, but I don't know what the difference is.
Yeah, we still are lacking the details of differences. So this is actually a good time for us to shout out to the community, folks on the X Spaces, folks on YouTube. If you already tested this and you know whether or not there is a difference for you, please tell us. If you have like this one thing that you always do reasoning with and you run and you see a difference. I did notice one difference. I noticed that I didn't get the streaming for reasoning. So I saw this little thing that says request access to O1 Pro, and then I did not get the streaming for reasoning. All I got is you requesting access, and then boom, I got thinking for 29 seconds. So that was the only reason I got. And yes, folks who are asking, can I use O1 Pro now? As far as I saw, the first request that I did for O1 definitely showed me O1. So let's actually look at this on the stream. And
I saw that too. A request for O1. I get it in Europe as well.
Oh, amazing!
But I don't see a difference yet.
So we have from Simple Bench, we have a fairly convoluted question that trips many reasoning models about ice cubes melting in a pan for 1 minute or 2 minutes. And so I used this ice cube question on O1 Pro, and it failed on the first run, which was very interesting. So I asked it again, and after I asked it again, it did succeed. After I said, "Hey, this answer was incorrect." So we're actually going to do this live on the show right now. I think we will do this live on the show right now. I will do present. I will do stop screen. Yeah, I'll just go here. ChatGPT. I'll show you guys right here. So 1 second, present, and I'll show you my, I guess I'll do this. Okay. Hopefully, Wolfram, can you confirm, do you see my screen? Wolfram?
Oh, good. Yes.
Okay. Right. So, folks, follow us on the live show. So once you select O1 preview, you basically go and you say, hey, let me paste my Ice Cube question. Basically, this is the question that we're asking. I'm gonna try to do a summary for folks who are listening. Beth placed 4 ice cubes in the frying pan at the start of the first minute, then 5 ice cubes at the start of the second minute, and some more at the start of the third minute. None on the fourth minute. If the average number of ice cubes per minute placed in the pan while it was frying a crispy egg was 5, how many whole ice cubes can be found in the pan at the end of the third minute? And then it gives A, B, C, D, and E, and F multiple choice answers. And the right answer is B, which is 0, because all ice cubes melt faster than a minute. But this trips LLMs to start thinking and calculating, because LLMs are getting tripped by the number and the multiples of the different conditions. So we're going to hit send, and then, so folks who are on video, they see instead of thinking that we used to get from O1, now what we get is a request from O1 Pro. This is like a like an animated line that we get right now, and this animated line basically shows up instead of the thinking, and we're waiting right now for the thinking process. Actually, and we just got, and it said thought for 24 seconds. So thought for 24 seconds, and it did some calculations, blah 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 blah, and it got the answer wrong. And so I can say nope, that's wrong. So yeah, this is the second time that I got the answer wrong. I will say that we've used this, Wolfram, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've used this Ice Cube challenge on O1 Preview, and O1 Preview got this correct multiple times on first try.
Yeah, it's a difficult question for most LLMs. So you regenerate, and some get it more often, some not, but few get it right all the time.
Yeah. So we said, no, that's wrong. And then it thought for 17 more seconds. We can look at the reasoning steps, because I think that some people mentioned in comments that the reasoning steps for O1 are different. So the reasoning after, it didn't stream them, but it started showing them afterwards. It said assessing placements, revisiting the equation, recalculating total ice cubes, adjusting my approach, evaluating scenarios. Oh, it looks like there's some error here. Do you guys see this? This looks like a little bit of a this looks like a bug. Let me take a screenshot of this. Looks like a bug in their reasoning summarizer. And
maybe
then
it's very quantized.
Yeah. And it got to the error, to the right answer at the second one. At the end of the third minute, no whole ice cubes remain in the pan because they all melted as soon as they were added. Well, almost as soon, because they don't melt immediately. But hey, this was the right answer. And it got there because in the step 3 of thinking, it says, since we're dealing with a frying pan that's hot enough to fry a crispy egg, it's reasonable to assume that ice cubes melt almost instantly upon contact. In real-world scenario, ice cubes melt instantly. Apologies, folks, on Twitter Space. I just got a call. And so to not get calls, I will go right here. So hopefully you guys can hear me now. So we got the right answer in the end. So this is O1 Preview. Oh, sorry, O1 Pro. It still says O1 Preview on the top, so it didn't change. So what do we know? We know that it says request O1 Pro. We know that it didn't get this question right immediately, but it did get it right after asking again. What else do we know from breaking news? We know this next thing from our friend Tibor, who follows the news very closely, and it looks like the blog post already kind of went out and then went back in. We know that there's going to be another release together with the O1 Pro, which is going to be a pro tier. for OpenAI. So that's another breaking news. I don't know if we hit the button again or not, because it's kind of like two breaking news, but it feels like yes. So for folks who are joining right now, it looks like we have a bunch of folks joining right now. I think those are two distinct things that they're going to announce. So definitely another thing that already was talked about. So definitely a pro day for OpenAI. Though I don't have first-hand experience of this, so I'm not sure that this is something that we should talk about, but we'll mention that this was already posted, and we'll send folks to the comments as well. OpenAI announced, well, they didn't announce this, so I don't know. There's screenshots, there's leaks. Let's say it like this: there's leaks of a new tier that is 10x more expensive than the current tier. There's leaks. LDJ, did you see the leaks?
Yeah, so yeah, I saw it while I was just scrolling right now, and I actually have a little bingo card of things that I thought might show up in these next 12 days.
Nice.
And not something I had on the official like 9 points on the bingo card, but an extra thing I did mention is I think it's just inevitable they would have an extra tier, because I think the rate limits for like power users like ourselves, I think the rate limits are just too much with the current prices.
Yep.
And I just like I think it would be really dumb for them not to add a significantly higher price tier for power users.
I agree, and I'm sure that many companies and folks who work for companies will definitely decide to pay this, and I think many people asked for this. So let me just say this: the next tier will include, as far as we saw, unlimited use of these reasoning models. Unlimited use of these reasoning models, including the new and pro model as well. So this is kind of the breaking news. And folks, I will say their stream is starting in an hour. In hour 15, but in an hour we will be watching the live stream here with live commentary with all of you. We're going to be streaming this on Twitter Spaces, so if you're just walking around, you want to hear this, and then our commentary is going to be after this as well. So we're going to be doing this. Meanwhile, while we're waiting for this, we kind of already know, but we don't know, maybe they're going to release Sora today. Like there were talks about Sora as well, although this week we may have received open source Sora, so that's also something we want to talk to you about as well. So how about we start the show? So we started the show with OpenAI's news and breaking news, but there's also so much to talk about today on the show. So I think that now that we've gotten the super hot breaking news out of the way, and we can continue talking and discussing the breaking news out of the way, I think that we will do our regularly scheduled conversation, and then in an hour we'll tune in to the OpenAI live stream, watch it together, and then do a proper commentary about the stuff that they legit officially announce. How does that sound? Yeah, sounds good, folks.
Sure.
Meanwhile, folks that are in Twitter Spaces with us, so I have added to the top of the space the live stream on X video and YouTube, where you can join us, and if you're on YouTube and on X, you can leave comments, and we can actually kind of interact with you. So feel free to do that. If you leave in us comments via the Twitter Spaces, you can do that as well. Today's show is going to be, I think, more interactive than regular ones, because we're kind of like, we're doing a watch party, we're watching together, and all of this is getting posted on ThursdAI, the podcast, which you can get at everywhere where you get your podcasts. We have 5-star ratings across Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Help us keep this rating going. Right, I think that now it's time for the regular. Let's talk about what is kind of the TLDR, the stuff that we're going to cover in this week's ThursdAI. Meanwhile, I already said hi to Jan Peleg and Wolfram. LDJ is the latest edition. I think we'll have one more guest joining us, and then we can dive in. LDJ, welcome. You want to unmute and give folks a quick hello and say who you are and what you're doing in day to day for folks who haven't heard from you.
Yeah, sure. My name's LDJ. I also go by Luigi. That's my real name. And I previously worked at News Research. Before that, I did some audio AI work. And overall, my research is mostly involved now in things like synthetic data generation, data set development, multimodality, and just training generally capable models and mainly doing open source work.
Amazing. And frequent co-host here on ThursdAI, which is awesome. Very appreciated. Deep commentary always, and many banger breaking news as well. Right, folks. So we're gonna do actually, because we have this like video format as well. I often actually show you how the sausage is made behind the scenes. So this is my kind of notes. Share screen. I will do a window and I'll show you. So hopefully now you can also see what we're talking about. We're going to start with open source generally, but also open source LLMs, because in contrast to OpenAI, that we're getting OpenAI, we're also getting a bunch of open source stuff. So this week was super exciting from a decentralization standpoint. Not only because, I'm sorry, I have to do this, folks. I have to do this. My previous passion in life and this passion, not only because Bitcoin hit 100K, yesterday, I have to celebrate this. This is crazy to think about. But also decentralization, because two big decentralized LLM training efforts are happening kind of simultaneously. All of them for friends of the pod. This is crazy. Distro and Dima from News Research is training right now. I think it's finishing training right now. It literally finished like an hour ago. We can actually go and watch this live. And Prime Intellect 1, 10 billion parameter, has finished training and is now in post-training with RC.AI, also friends of the pod. Maybe we'll have some folks from RC hop on and talk to us about the post-training. But definitely after post-training is done, we're going to talk about Intellect 1. So decentralized LLMs, where it's getting trained across the world, I think is going to be huge. And we're going to cover this because I think that's like super awesome. We actually have Lucas on here. Lucas, we're just doing the TLDR, but if you want to unmute and say hi to folks, Lucas, now would be a good time.
Yeah. Hey guys. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah. Lucas, I run the labs team at RC. Yeah, I'm happy to talk about Intellect 1 and kind of what went into that post training. But yeah, that finished. We released that last Friday.
Oh, amazing. Okay. So
it's out. People can use it. Yeah.
Awesome. So we'll do like a 5 minutes, because we have like a super busy show, but it's awesome to have you here with us, Lucas. And then this is in the open source LLMs. We also have another friend of the pod release from this week. The open source LLMs is on fire this week. A reasoning model, folks. This is, I think, for the third week in a row where we talk about reasoning models. And today we're going to talk about reasoning models from a big lab. Obviously, O1 Pro is a reasoning model. It's probably the best in the world reasoning model that's seeing the light of day. But also an open source reasoning model, 8B, from Ruliad. It's called DeepThought 8B. It's a transparent reasoning model where you can see the reasoning traces as they happen. You can actually join them and kind of guide them as well, from friends of the pod as well. So we're gonna show you and play with this live. So that's super cool. Ruliad DeepThought 8B. Going forward in open source, even though it's not LLMs necessarily, two huge things that happened in the world of open source. Tencent, a Chinese company, open sourced HY Video, which looked like a video model, but in fact it was way more than just a video model. It did all these like crazy things, including puppeteering, including animation of a character. We're going to show all of this. This is an open source video model. Currently text to video, I think image to video is coming, video to video is coming as well. It's beating Luma and Runway ML Gen 3 and Luma 1.6. It's an open source world kind of model that's beating proprietary models right now. It's hard to run this on your consumer hardware because it's heavy requirements, but it's quite crazy that an open source model beating Luma and Runway. It's competing with almost Sora. Maybe we'll get Sora today and we'll be able to compare, but it's quite something. Honestly, this model is all over the place. It does it generates audio. What? It's crazy. It does Foley. Do you guys know what Foley is? It does Foley. And so that's one thing in open source. Another thing in open source, Fish Speech v1.5. It's a multilingual zero-shot instant voice cloning text-to-speech model with low latency. This thing is crazy. It's only 500 million parameters, but it gets number 2 in the TTS arena in Hugging Face on preliminary results. Number 2. Number 1 is 11 Labs. This gets number 2 on top of play.ht, on top of some other folks. Open source model, you can run this. Non-commercial only yet, but still, you can run this on your own. You can clone your voice, and this is number 2 right now. Friend of the pod, TechNeum from News Research just posted, why isn't there an open source model that talks like, that matches 11 labs, and then the same day Fish Speech was released? So also open source. So crazy things happening in open source. We're going to cover all of them as well. In big companies and API, folks who are not used to this like stream of consciousness, by the way, this is just the TLDR. We're going to actually cover all of this after the TLDR thing. This is just to kind of keep you engaged and give you like a super brief update of everything that happens. You're not meant to to catch all this necessarily, so don't fret. Amazon announced Nova series of foundational models at AWS reInvent. Nova, I think they announced like 7 or 8 models, and we're going to chat about what this means from Amazon, given that Amazon is also a huge investor in Anthropic, and we're going to talk about their benchmarks and evals and maybe some folks who already tried them. Google, we're now in the area of big companies, so we're covering big companies. Google has showed something quite incredible with Genie 2, which creates playable worlds from a picture, which was quite insane. And we're gonna like not play with this. I wish we had access, but we're gonna show and talk about how incredible this is for simulating playable, gameable environments. Kind of close to this also, there was a the world. What is that one? World Labs from Fei-Fei Li also released their example of taking one image and turning this into like a walkable 3D environment as well. So we had like 2 world building models in the big companies in the same week. Also from Google, I found it super exciting. I don't know if it's necessarily super interesting for folks. GenCast from Google is a diffusion model that beats state-of-the-art in weather prediction. I found it incredible that now generative AI is also beating weather prediction, and it's now like the top of the line weather prediction with accuracy, specifically accuracy and speed. I really want to talk about this and highlight a few things as well. This is from Google DeepMind, and it's also open source. You know what? I'm actually going to move this to the open source area because Google open sourced this GenCast model and data, and it's a diffusion model. And this is super, super cool. It's not an AI art, but the same process that they use in the AI art, diffusion. I think it's a diffusion transformer. Not sure. Maybe just a diffusion.
It's even more interesting. It's really merging the thing of autoregressiveness and diffusion models, like really showing you that diffusion models are like predicting video over time when you think about it.
So we'll definitely
an image over time. So
you get me even more
extremely
excited.
Extremely interesting.
We definitely need to dive into this because this is crazy. This is crazy. Predicting the world is crazy. In this week's buzz is the corner where I talk about everything weights and biases. We have exciting news this week. We've the LLM observability and evaluation framework that we are working hard on. And by the way, who's co-hosting the Twitter space right now with us? Yeah, feel free to give us a follow. This is the Square co-host here. Weave is now co-host of the space. Weave was announced to be in GA, in general availability. What this means, I'll tell you in a bit, just before the live stream for OpenAI. But very exciting. Many folks work on this very, very hard. And today, like this week, it's a celebratory week for us. Weave is now in GA. It was announced also in AWS reInvent, and I'm very, very excited to specifically highlight one feature out of the many that was launched together in GA. I think that's most of the stuff that we wanted to talk about. And of course, all of this before the live stream for OpenAI, in which we're going to tell you, hey, O1 Pro and Pro Plan. They didn't have, the Pro Plan was leaked. There's also this thing from 11 Labs where real-time audio agents builder is now super simple from 11 Labs to build real-time audio agents from the interface. That's pretty cool. I know this looks like a shill from 11 Labs, but honestly, I love 11 Labs, and it's not a shill. They didn't pay me for this. They just launched it, and it really looks super, super cool. And another thing, if we get time, I doubt we'll have time, Runway added this like video keyframing prototype, and I specifically wanted to get to this if we have time, because I think that new capabilities like generative AI require new tools, and this is a completely reimagination of how this tool exploration of a latent space could look like. And so, and also would be very hard on Twitter Space, but we have this video format now. This is like a very visual thing, but I can probably add this to a Twitter Space so you guys can see. Just like a new way of figuring out how to like work in this like medium with latent space exploration. So this is a TLDR of like most things that I found very interesting, I think. I would love the community to tell me if I missed anything huge in comments. If you guys saw anything huge that I haven't added here, please tell us, because in the show notes we do send out more stuff that we cover here. And also Yam, LDJ, Wolfram, folks on stage, please tell me what huge things I missed this week.
Yeah, I can't think of any. I think maybe you forgot to mention that the Riliad model is open source, but we'll get to that.
Well, I mentioned them. Riliad, DeepThought, 8B.
No, I mean the fact that it's open source, but...
Oh, yes. It's open source. It just mentioned in the open source corner. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's time to actually dive into the open source and actually talk about the models, right? I think it's time. Let's get it. Yeah, let's get it. Let me actually play the music a little bit. Yeah, let's get it. Where's my... No, wait, I have a transition. What am I doing? I'm all excited today, folks. I apologize, very, very excited today. I think it's time for us to do... Open source AI, let's get it started. We're going to get started today with, I think we're going to get started with watching how news, the research, the distributed run of distro is happening. So let me see. So I mentioned news distro before, and I just want to show you this gloriousness on the show. So share screen, give me just 1 second. It's gonna be this. This is just beautiful. And when beautiful things happen, I want to show you beautiful things. So this is news distro. If you go to distro.newsresearch.com, you'll see this like beautiful thing happening over here. News distro is a decentralized 15 billion parameter training of a large language model using decentralization. You can see in this, how can I show this like a little bit better? Maybe like this, yeah. You can see that this training run, by the way, this was like public, so you could see this training run happening in real time almost. You can see the loss curves here. This kind of looks like the weights and biases dashboards of many people, by the way. You could see where the nodes sit kind of around the world. You can see like the global status. There's some nodes here in North America. It looks like there's... Wolfram, help me out. Is it Germany?
Looks like Germany.
It looks like Germany.
It's tiny, but I think there are some news people from Germany, so could be.
Maybe it's in their house. So you can also see the model reasoning evals like happening in real time, and it kind of looks like the reasoning kind of like went down a little bit at the end. You can see Hello Swag. So you can see like this model getting trained in real time, and actually, as always, as it happens on ThursdAI, because we're very good friends with news research, for some reason, this model trained and finished training on ThursdAI as well. The thing behind, the very big thing behind the decentralization and the ability to run this in decentralized fashion is DEMO, decoupled momentum optimization. The foundational research underpins this system of training. The foundational research is kind of crazy. So if you guys remember, folks who frequent ThursdAI may remember we had a chat with eMozilla. and Bowen, was Bowen here? I think Bowen was also here. We talked about this distro effort back when it was a paper, when it was started to be a paper, and so decoupled momentum optimization already now became a paper. I will show you this paper. They have published this paper that underpins this back in November, like November 29. So like what, 5 days ago, 6 days ago. That talks about how this is even possible, and this is a specific optimizer that maybe we've talked multiple times about beating Adam, and they're showing that they could beat this across different computers around the world. Specifically, the very interesting thing here, and maybe Yam, this is tapping you for this, or maybe LDJ, they have added Diedrich P. Kingma on this paper as well. So this paper demo is authored by Bowen Peng from News Research, Jeffrey from Jeffrey, who's Mozilla and News Research, and Diedrich Kingma. And Diedrich is,
he created the Adam optimizer, and that's the very popular optimizer used for a lot of pre-training methods. There's like the variation of that called Adam W that's commonly used, and it's funny just because there's if you look just even in this abstract, it says empirical results show that models trained with DEMO match or exceed the performance of equivalent models trained with Adam W, while eliminating the need for high-speed interconnects when pre-training large-scale foundation models. So it's the fact that he's like, they're making that statement while he is the author of Adam.
Yeah.
So it's, or I think maybe like the lead co-author or something along those lines, but one of the main authors. So yeah, I think that's a big deal, and he now works at Anthropic actually.
It's incredible work from folks on News Research that highlight the ability to do this like across the world and not in the same data center. And we've talked about this before. I'm very excited to see what happens with this model. Obviously, it just finished training, and once this model is going to finish post-training, we're gonna definitely receive this very well. The model is going to be called, I think, Psyche or Psych, yeah, we're gonna hear all about this once it launches, and we're gonna have the folks from News Research have this work here. I just wanted to highlight the first of all beautiful page that runs live. Working at Weights and Biases, I know a thing or two about like beautiful dashboards. This looks beautiful, and shout out to folks at News, because the paper looks absolutely amazing. Just like, top of the line, having the co-author of the Adam optimizer on there, that just adds another stamp of credibility. 16 nodes for this run all over North America and Europe. Yam, anything else to add here super quick before we move on to the next decentralized effort, which we have two on, which is crazy?
No, I'm reading the paper. I haven't been on X for like a week, so I'm reading the paper.
I want to benchmark it.
Yes, we'll definitely need the folks from News Research to give us something. All right, folks. I think that the second decentralized effort was actually completed before, and now we have the additional thing, and we have Lucas here. Lucas, maybe you wanna just do the announcement super quick for I think it's DLoco, right, and Prime Intellect.
Yeah, I mean, Prime Intellect's been a big partner of us at RC, and we kind of helped them with the kind of compute for that training run. But yeah, I mean, it's very similar to, in theory, to the way that, Noose is doing it, where it's like kind of like, I think it was 30 different GPU nodes across 3 different continents, all around the world. It took about a month. We did about 1 trillion tokens for a 10 billion parameter model, whereas I think Noose is 15 billion parameter model for 100 billion tokens. So you're kind of like trading off size and, some form of where you're putting your compute. But results are good. I mean, the pre-trained results were around kind of like early checkpoints of like Llama 2. And then after post-training, it was fast. It was actually the biggest jump I'd ever seen in MMLU. You had it like the base model was 37 on MMLU. And then after post-training, it was 49, which I think is mostly a testament to a lot of the merging we do, and then a lot of the distillation we do in our post-training, because since it was based on Llama 3, we could use kind of the same logics we'd extracted from 405B for some of RC's models. So we actually did a distillation on the Intellect 1 model as well. So it's a really promising time for decentralized training, because like we're a year behind. Like our benchmark scores are right at like we're matching Llama 2 13B.
Yeah.
And now that we know that it scales and that it can work, like the next step is just throwing more compute at it.
What
so
was challenging about this from your perspective?
It was, I mean, from a technical perspective, like the Prime Intellect guys are going to be way better at talking about that. I think Noose could probably share some similarities too. But I think the most challenging thing, I think, going forward is just when you start looking at tensor parallelism right now. Like a lot of the what you're dealing with right now is most of these runs, I believe, are using like H100s. So you write each card is like 80 gigabytes of RAM, and then in the 10 to 15 billion parameter range. So you don't really have to shard the models across the GPUs. You only have to shard the data. And that's better from like a bandwidth perspective of just like the complexities of training. So when you start getting to like larger models where you're having to shard not just like, you can't have like a distinct copy on each GPU. You have to like have multiple copies across many different GPUs. I think that's where the complexity comes in. And I think that's something that both of these teams are trying to solve. And I think the fact that we have many different people trying to solve it in a way that's like collaborative and in the open, and code is being shared, I think is like, it's great, because it's not just like we're watching like OpenAI and Anthropic go after something and you kind of just have to hope that each of them come to it, in their own silos. Like it's people that can build off each other's work. It's really, really exciting. I'm really confident.
Awesome, dude. Thank you for hopping up, and thank you for giving us more addition. I'm showing the table right now on the live stream. So we're looking at Intellect 1 Instruct, which is the model that you guys released and open sourced, MMLU 49.89, which beats Llama 2.7B chat and beats, like, comes very close to Llama 13B a little bit, MPT as well. Yeah, looks like it's trailing a year behind, but it was trained like distributed, like was super cool. You guys
on half as many tokens too, which talks about just it was 1 trillion tokens versus 2 trillion for Llama 2. So there's so many different ways we can catch up that it's like, give us a couple months. I think people will be pretty excited.
That's awesome. So shout out to RC, shout out to Prime Intellect for this distributed work as well. Great folks from RC. And Lucas, thank you for hopping up and telling us about your work. Definitely folks should give you a follow if they're interested in the incredible like post-training work that you guys do. And we'll definitely hear more about stuff from this decentralized area. I just found it wonderful that like the two efforts pretty much finished like around the same time. And I wanted to talk about this. Not the first time that like multiple efforts happened around the same time, and we were able to cover those. The next thing in kind of the open source LLM is LDJ. This is the thing that you wanted to talk about, where we have also friends of the pod releasing a new reasoning model called Rulia DeepThought 8B. Rulia DeepThought, so chat Rulia DeepThought 8B. This is an open source model. We'll take a look at the Hugging Face in a second. This is a reasoning model that I think was based on Llama.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think it's based on Llama 8B, Llama 3.1 8B, and it's beating Llama 3.1 8B on math by just a little bit. But I think that the cool thing is that this is like a reasoning additional reasoning fine-tune on top of Llama. And the very cool thing about this is that kind of the interface allows you to see the thinking and also guide the thinking. This is the thing that I loved the most. LDJ, what caught your eye about this model specifically?
Well, if you look at the benchmarks, there's specifically in the like instruction following, which I assume is like instruction following eval benchmark, and they have some reasoning and coding benchmarks there. It seems actually pretty comparable to like 30B or even 70B models in those benchmarks that I saw. And I think it's like in certain ones, like maybe in like math or something, it's like not quite there.
Mhm.
Here, I could send you a link to the benchmarks.
Yeah, I have the math benchmark, but yeah, send me a link to what you want me to show.
But then also on top of that, the fact that they have like these extra additional type of settings that you can configure of how it actually does the reasoning process. And without having to retrain it or anything, you can just configure these settings on the fly. And that whole thing, I believe, is also open source that they're making available to everybody. So here, I'm going to send you these benchmarks.
Yeah, send me.
Okay. Okay, I put it in the StreamYard chat. And if you just scroll down on that site, you'll see the bars eventually.
Where did you send me? Sorry.
In the StreamYard chat.
Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah, I see this. Let's look at the benches.
There you go. So this isn't all you see. It's comparable overall on the average, at least in these benchmarks, to the Quen 72B. And even better in instruction following.
Yeah. I wish Quen Quill would be here. I love the comparison to O1 Mini. So this is on instruction following. We get 84 from DeepThought 8B on instruction following and 85 from O1 Mini. Very interesting. On reasoning, obviously the bigger models are like better reasoners, but this is an 8 billion parameter model that is beating Quen 72 billion parameter.
Now we finally have Quen on a benchmark. We did talk about never benchmarking against Quen, only if they beat it, I guess. But this is 2, not 2.5, by the way. So it's not the latest version of the Quen.
Yeah, this is 2. This makes sense. But yeah, 2.5 is also here. Interestingly, in this benchmark, 2 is bigger than 2.5 on reasoning. So I don't know which reasoning they chose here. Yeah, on coding. Yeah. So this is an 8 billion parameter model. Like obviously this model has limitations. So I want to show kind of like on chat, and I'll talk about like what's interesting also, like chat.ruliad. I want to show and talk about this for folks who are like just listening to us, because I think the interesting thing about this, again, with the Ice Cube, this is our go-to question right now. When I send this command, you can see the thinking process happening super quick. And again, unlike the O1 example of O1 preview, first of all, this model gets the answer incorrect. It gets like the option E, 11. Let's say, did it get at least the, yeah, okay. So it shows us the reasoning here. So we got 8 steps or 9 steps going through, and you can see the actual reasoning here. I think the model, the developers from Ruliad, is that Pharrell, right, LDJ? Pharrell is one of them?
Yeah, Pharrell, Centex, Alpin. Those are the main 3 that I've personally interacted with.
Oh, amazing. Okay, I didn't know that the rest of the folks is also there. Sendex is part of it, and then Alpin is part of it. So like huge friends of the pod are involved in Ruliad. So shout out to them. Should be on this while we present their main work.
Here I can message Alpin and see if you
message Alpin. Yeah. Alpin was here. Well, we talked about, if you guys remember last week, Alpin was here. We talked about his being main character of Blue Sky for a second. And the thing that I wanted to say is that you can see the thinking process like very transparently here. But if you go to little settings, this is the thing that I liked, and I am pretty sure that folks that work in OpenAI O1, they have this like same mechanism in there. You can play around with like injections, and this is like what LDJ just said. Without retraining the model, you can like change how these things work, and you can actually get to better results. So I'll give you an example. Because I know how to solve this problem with the ice cubes, I can tell the model to think about how long does it take for an ice cube to actually melt, and this would guide the answer to a good answer. I can actually choose, like, you can choose max routing, you can choose thought routing. You can say if a rule was detected, then do something. But I can do like max routing. I can say max reasoning steps. You can choose like 15 reasoning steps. Basically, choosing reasoning steps is, if I'm not mistaken, maybe I'm mistaken, but I'm hoping I'm not mistaken, is forcing the test time compute function to go. Let's actually put 50 reasoning steps, and then let's see again. Let me close this. I actually wanna try again. Let's see if this actually is what this is. Let's see if it goes to 50 steps or no. No, it didn't go.
I think it sets a max cap of how much it's not allowed to go past. So if you set it to 5, then it won't go past 5.
Okay, so let's do 5 then. So it's not like a hey, think for longer, which is what I want. It's not that.
Yeah, I think it's just a limiter of not thinking, making sure to not think too much or too long.
Okay, so it's not what I wanted. But interestingly, where in this UI where you can like suggest reasoning steps yourself, where you can like help the model like reason. Once I like helped it with a reasoning, like obviously like it started like thinking properly. So this is the thing that I love about this. You can kind of inject into its reasoning process, not via prompt, but via these reasoning steps. So that's pretty cool. And just the whole interface is pretty cool for reasoning models. I wish that we had this for other reasoning models as well. Wolfram, thoughts about this? Yam, thoughts about this? I wanted to hear your thoughts before we move on, and hear from LDJ as well, because you're like close to folks.
The model is on Hugging Face, so I wanted to download it, but I think you need custom inference software to make it work like that. So that's why I didn't get to check it out yet.
Yep, models on Hugging Face. It's let's look at the. Obviously, everybody who works on this model are very big proponents of open source. So let's actually look at the license, because I don't think I have it saved in my notes. Ruliad. Let's look at the license here. I'm going to add this to the show notes here as well. Ruliad.
Send something in the side chat too.
Thank you. We have another breaking something. Wolfram.
A little bit. I don't think it's like worth. Sorry.
Okay. No, all good, all good. Wolfram, the thing that you mentioned that you want to talk about. Yes, please. I really want you to talk about this and then even show what you worked on. Please take your time, and I would love for you to talk about your research.
Right now?
Yes.
Okay. So probably the thing I'm most known for are the evaluations I did on Reddit last year and this year. And so that is how I got into the AI scene, because I was doing a lot of benchmarks and evaluations with some private data. And now I have started doing some MLU Pro benchmarks of multiple models. And so you start with one, then you add another. And in the end, it was a whole lot of models I was testing. So I did 59 benchmark runs in total. Yeah, should we bring it on the screen?
Yes, please.
So, okay.
If you're ready. I will, while you bring this up, I will just say, Yam, you probably remember this. LDJ, you remember this. Before Wolfram joined the show as a co-host, when we talked about Vibes evals, we used to mention your work on the show multiple times. We used to say, hey folks, the way to evaluate models is we look at our X stream, we look at the subreddit for local llama, we talk amongst ourselves, we try it ourselves, and we frequently just looked, and the whole community in subreddit and local llama, when you posted one of your like in deep kind of like breakdowns, that's what people kind of like got feelings for. So your research was like super valuable even before you joined the show. Obviously, after you joined the show, for us, this is like, hey, amazing. We have like one of the like bigger experts on researching models that we know and love, and now is part of the community, big part of the community. So we'd absolutely love to see you do your thing.
Okay, great. So thanks for that. And I posted on Reddit as well. And so a lot of people were going, oh, you're back, welcome back. And someone even compared me to the bloke who did such a great job, if you remember him, the bloke who did all the models.
Of course, yeah.
And then he disappeared. And so they felt like that because I moved to X, actually. So I never disappeared. I just changed my main channels, because here I can just post and I don't have to think, what is the audience? I post, and if it's a good post, it gets retweeted. So I did that. So what I did is I started out with a lot of models. It was actually Mistral's large models that were interesting to me, because I thought the new large isn't as good as the old one.
Could you zoom in a little bit though?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
This is the outcome, the ranking, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So of all the benchmarks I did, and I was going for the Mistral. I can see if I can zoom even further. So yeah, the Mistral Large 2411 is a new one, and the 2407 is the old one. So the old one was a little bit better. I ran every benchmark twice to make sure there is it's not just too much of an outlier. So I put an error bar on it, so you see if I did 2 or even more on some models. So you have the lowest score and the highest score they got, and the bars are ordered according to the average score. And the goal was to find out which model works the best on my system. I wasn't just going for the unquantized versions, because most Hugging Face leaderboards are doing that anyway. So you always get the results, and the model creators do the benchmarks as well. So what I was interested in is how do they run on my system? I only have 48 gigabyte of VRAM, which is average, I would say. A lot of people have less and are going for the smaller models. But it was my goal to test it on my system and see how it scores there, and then do comparisons. And the most interesting thing is which happened here, and which is why I highlighted the Quill models, QVQ or Quill as they pronounce it, is because that model is a reasoning model, the first open White's reasoning model we ever had. They released it, so I decided to test it, and I found something very interesting, because the model, even if you take, this is Excel 2 format, because it's very fast. And so the biggest quant you can use with it is 8-bit. And with 8-bit, the model got even better score than Mistral Large, just below the older GPT-4o, which is also interesting. There are so many interesting things you find when you do these benchmarks, like why is the older GPT-4o doing so much better, or noticeably better than the current one. And the current one gets 100 tokens per second, which is a lot faster than the old one. So I guess it's a quantized model. But those are things you'll notice when you do the benchmarks. Anyway, getting back to that, so the Quill model with 8-bit is very, very good. But if you take even half the size, 4-bit, 4.25-bit to be exact, and you raise the number of tokens it is allowed to generate, that even it gets even better. So what I noticed, I checked the benchmarks, what is the model outputting, and the MMLU Pro benchmark is limiting output to 2K tokens, which is normally plenty. So most models don't output so much. But this model is thinking so much, so it outputs a lot of tokens, and then it gets cut off. So it gets a lot better scores if you let it think for longer, so let it write more, which is something everybody who is using the benchmark and hasn't changed the default is not seeing, because they will cut the response short.
Wait, so say again, the default output is 2K?
Yeah, you can only, the model, you give it max new tokens, the parameter you give it. So it's 2K in the benchmark. So the benchmarking tool limits to 2K, and the model is still thinking. It hasn't gotten to the final answer yet. So it gets cut short. And so it's much worse in the benchmarks. So once I set it to 16K, which is a lot, because the whole context of the model is 32K native. So the half of the context is already reserved for the benchmark. But now it got on the 3rd place. It is just behind Claude Sonnet and Gemini. And it's just an 8-bit model in this case. But it was really impressing me that way, because it is such a good model, and it's just a 32
So 32 billion parameter model, after you gave it more time to think, like this is the reasoning model, right?
Yes.
Is on your benchmark, on the MMLU Pro benchmark, on, again, like your system, is getting 79, which is like 3rd place, beating Athene 72 billion parameter, beating Quen 2.5, beating like the previous GPT-4o. Like,
yeah,
this is quite crazy. Quite crazy.
Sonnet and Gemini. So that was amazing. So that was something I didn't expect and I didn't know, but changing that was really unlocking its full potential. So that is important for people using it. Give it time to think. Give it the token space to write into it. That is very important.
That's why so first of all, folks, like I think this is another confirmation of this like test time compute scaling law. Basically, give the reasoning models more time to think. And LDJ, that's the kind of we need the Ruliat people here. This is the control that I wish I had in OpenAI, that I wish I had like in other places. This feels like once you have the open source, you are able to kind of do this as well. Just give it more time to think. You can do this with prompt techniques as well. Like we've talked about this before. You can kind of ask, when you ask regular models, not reasoning models, for step by step, you're kind of sort of doing this as well. But in this case, you're like just like you said, you're triggering this from 4K to you said 16K. That's incredible.
2K,
This
actually.
yeah.
Yeah, I think a really cool thing about this too is that when you have these smaller models thinking for longer, then you end up being able to actually fit that in your VRAM. So you can actually do like local inference, and maybe you only have 16 gigs or even a 4090 is only 24 gigabytes. You're not going to be able to fit like a 70B model in there. But then you can have a model like this that could maybe even get better results than those larger ones.
Yeah. So I'm really impressed with the Quill model. I'm not paid by Quen or anything. And I must say, I was never such a big fan of the Quen 72B, for example, because I'm using the model in German. So I was always going for the Mistral models because they were so much better in that case. But I have actually used the 32B model now in productive uses where I had real work use cases where I was using Claude and I was using ChatGPT 4.0 and I was using Quill. And Quill was what I chose in the end as the result that was the best for my use case. So that has never happened with a local model. I love local models, but in production, I usually use the online models because they are still so much better. It's getting better now. But this was the first time where I was saying, wow. And funny, because we have been doing the Ice Cube challenge a couple of times now. So I would like to show you what the model said when I put it. So that is an interesting thing, just so you see the response it got. It didn't get it right, but I will just open it here. It didn't get it right, but you see the thinking process, which is so interesting because it was really interesting when I gave it that thing. So it started, how many whole ice cubes can be found in the pen at the end of the 3rd minute?
Right now we're just seeing, just to tell you, Wolfram, we're just seeing the table.
Oh, I see. I see. Wait a second. I will just, I thought I was sharing the whole thing. Okay. Now you should see it. I will zoom in a bit because this is too funny, because that is the reasoning you can see. You don't see what the O1 preview is doing, but here you can see it. So it was repeating the question and then it started thinking about it. And it started immediately with, perhaps some have melted during the frying process. However, without knowing the rate of melting or any specifics about the frying process, it's impossible to determine exactly how many have melted. Then it continues thinking, and then it says, perhaps the frying is done separately from the ice cubes, and the ice cubes are just placed in the pan without being subjected to heat. But that seems contradictory. And wait, maybe the ice cubes are placed in the pan, but the pan is not heated, so they don't melt. But it's frying a crispy egg, which implies that the pan is heated. So there's a contradiction here. If the pan is heated, ice cubes placed in it would melt. So it is really on the right track. But then it says, alternatively, maybe the ice cubes are placed in the pan, but not in contact with the heated part, so they don't melt, which is amazing. And then it says, this is getting too speculative. Perhaps the key is to focus on the number placed, not the number remaining whole. And then it starts the calculation we have seen. So it was so close, and then it went away. But I would love to see a 72B or an even smarter model doing this kind of reasoning, and we can do that locally. So that is, that is a promise that we have soon. Sonnet at home, I think.
Yep, Sonnet at home. That's what we're all waiting for. Wolfram, thank you so much for sharing with us your research and kind of the approach as well. I'm sure that folks love to see how you're thinking about this, how you're approaching this. Folks can find it. I added to the top of the space, and also we'll add this to the show notes as well. It's crazy to me. We talked about Quill, Quill, the model that basically you can run the reasoning model, the first reasoning model in open source. Today we talked about Ruliad, which is the second one that you can run open source as well, which I haven't run locally. Wolfram, now you can have a comparable one. That's a smaller one, significantly smaller one. And now we have multiple reasoning ones. It feels like today is a lot of reasoning is happening, and we need like reasoning I guess evals for reasoning models as well. All right, folks, I think this covers the open source LLMs area. LDJ, Yam, anything we want to also add in the LLMs area? I think that's mostly it, no?
Farrell did say that he might be able to come on in like 5 minutes or so. If
Yeah, I see Farrell. Farrell, if you want to join for us in 5 minutes, we have 30 minutes to cover everything else, so we can do 5 minutes. Farrell, if you
or if he's up here now, then I think he might just be ready now because he said
Yeah.
5 minutes like 5 minutes ago. So
Okay, Farrell, I see you in the audience. If you want to hop on and talk to us about Ruliad, I would love to actually give you the stage because you're a friend of the pod. Farrell, are you with us?
Hey, how's it going?
Let's go. So we talked about Ruliad a little bit, but who are you and what did you do? I'm just kidding. Please feel free to present yourself for folks who haven't heard you for a while here, and tell us about Ruliad.
Yeah, we're so like if you don't know who I am, I've been around in the ecosystem for a little while. Worked on a bunch of open source projects, including kicking off Skunkworks. I don't know how long that was. AI time's a bit messed up, but yeah. So like we started off really at about a year ago to try to actually push more on our ability to do our own research across different architectures, including as well still working with LLMs. And recently with the O1 release, we decided to give it a shot and attempt our own replication of that. And of course, there's kind of a lot of missing information as to how O1 was put together. But we tried a few things, and one of these worked out, and that's what DeepThought became essentially. And DeepThought is basically just a trained model that does COT and in a structured, transparent manner. But once you start to actually program or teach the model to like do these like reasoning or like double quotations, right? Like reasoning types of programs, there's a lot of cool stuff you can start to do when it comes to the MLOps, right? So our hunch when it comes to O1 is that like a lot of it is on the MLOps side. Of course, there's a lot that goes on in the training stage of actually getting something to work that way, and of course there's a lot of there's a lot of stages when it comes to training these types of behaviors into the model. So it's not just SFT, but there are like innovations you can do on the RL side of things. And like when you think of it like in the training stage, it's kind of like the difference between a hammer and a scalpel. Like it's a like especially during the RL stage, you're kind of like you're doing a much more precise way of training the model, right? Like and kind of like penalizing it for bad process, right? And then once you start to like get a good model as a base, you can start to actually put that together in an inference setup that unlocks a lot more gains and test time compute as it's defined. So like what we launched right now is an open source, like we open source the weights of the model. And we also like launched our interface and API to demonstrate the test time compute features that you can unlock through the MLOps side of things.
Which are great.
And
I
it's
talked
not-
about those specifically. And the interface specifically I love, where you can like interact and specify the specific train of thought at which specific step. I love that. Could you elaborate more on kind of, because that's the first time I saw something like this where you give the user the option to interact. And the thing that I was missing, Farrell, while you're here, is the ability to give it more time to think. I think that this is like one feedback that I would love for you to like hear and maybe take back, because it's just like force it to think for longer.
Yeah, so actually, like what we deployed is like what we can reasonably host for free for a large number of people. So,
Well, oh yeah, right. Yeah.
it's it's easy to just judge it as it is, because it's difficult to have like test time compute with without it can get very expensive, right? So
Right. Yeah.
we're going to be introducing these features next week and the week after, where you can actually have more control over the compute time during inference. And there's a lot of cool stuff that's coming up there. That actually like pushes the model's performance significantly beyond what's deployed. But yeah, like what's really awesome about at least the way we set it up.
I gotta pause you, brother, but for a very good reason. Very good reason.
OpenAI or what?
No. You know the reason. You know the reason, brother. Folks, we got breaking AI breaking news coming at you only on ThursdAI. Done by OpenAI 30 minutes before OpenAI, Google open sourced something. That something is Gemma v2, which is a huge deal, I think. So let's take a look at this together. Obviously, folks, we're reacting as it happens, but Gemma is vision language model family. It comes in various sizes, like 3 billion parameter, 10 billion, 28 billion, based on Gemma and Siglip. And yeah, it's pretty big. Let's
multimodal.
It's multimodality is something that obviously we love here. We talked about a lot of models so far. Let me just, before this, I know that breaking news is very important, but this feels like a thing that Google done on purpose, to hop on OpenAI excitement. So definitely I added this to the top of the space, and we're gonna react in real time. But before this, I want to say thank you, Pharrell, for hopping up and telling us about Ruliad. We've covered Ruliad, and we've got DeepThought, and folks should go first of all follow Pharrell and follow Ruliad as well. And we'll have you guys on once you release more stuff. We're always very happy about open sourcing things. Now let's hop into blog and actually look at some stuff for Gemma. Oh, blog post doesn't exist. See, this is so new that it doesn't even exist. Model collection, maybe through here. Gemma. LDJ, have we played with Gemma before?
The original one, I didn't directly play with it, but I checked out benchmarks and saw what it was about, and I wasn't that impressed with it. I think there was some other multimodal vision models already out that were kind of beating it or comparable at the time when it released. But I don't know, maybe this one is significantly more so compared to what's out now.
Yeah, I want to see Gemma is pre-trained on the mix of datasets, Webley, CML, Gemma 2, data responsibility filtering, blah, 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 used in transformers. I want to see metrics. I want to see evaluation. So far, I don't see anything evaluations-wise. Google also releasing 2 checkpoints for docs. They work great for captioning and demonstrate long, nuanced, detailed captioning capabilities. Let's look. So they can read receipts for papers that are curved in the middle. They can do captioning very well. But really, I want to see evaluations, and unfortunately, the blog post for Gemma seems to be down. That's unfortunate. All right, well, Gemma is out, and we're gonna add this to the show notes as well. Yeah. Thank you, folks.
Farrell's still up here. We can. I think maybe he had something he was wanting to finish saying or something.
No, I think we covered. Okay. We covered Ruliad enough. I think we need to. We have 18 more minutes. We also need to cover a bunch of open other stuff as well. Thank you, Pharrell, and thank you, Ruliad, folks. But we're gonna add Gemma as well here. Google Gemma. We have so much more to cover before the live show. All right, folks, let's run through the rest of the stuff super quick before we get to GenCast. Am I sharing my screen yet? Yeah, I'm sharing my screen. Let me see what's on the docket to super interesting. Before we get to OpenAI, we have to do 5 minutes of weights and balances in 5 minutes before. Let's talk about Nova. I think Nova, they didn't release this in open source, but I wanted to at least chat about this. You said you were off X, but any chance you had the thoughts about Nova yet or not yet? And Wolfram, I want to hear from you as well.
Not yet.
Okay, cool. Wolfram?
I was just focused so much on finishing the benchmarks. I didn't get.
I got you. All good. So I know the source we're gonna go to for Nova, but let me just like tell you guys what actually like transpired. AWS, Amazon actually stepped into finally the arena with a set of their own models, with foundational models. Actually, a few folks of our friends of the pod, like both Swix and Simon Wilson, both were like impressed with these models. So we can like actually go and look at what they said. But basically, let me go and kind of do the introduction for Nova models super quick. Amazon announced a series of foundational models of theirs called Nova Micro, Nova Lite, which is multimodal, and Nova Pro, which is their high capability, and coming in 2025, Nova Premier. Those are like the series of their language models. They also announced like Canvas for image generation and Reel for video generation, also coming soon, right? So Amazon is like, hey, you know, we didn't have our own foundation models. Many people ask like why. There's also the question of like, hey, when is like Alexa coming? Why is Alexa so stupid? And when is Alexa like generative AI Alexa is coming? Nova Pro released this like very let me just like share my screen super quick. Very funny benchmark showcase where Nova. I just want to show how unimpressive this release was, where everybody talked about this. This is the benchmark like table that you guys know all know and love, where Amazon Nova new foundation model, they released Nova and compared it to Claude, GPT-4o, Gemini, and Llama. And in the Nova column, their designers highlighted all the numbers for language understanding, MMLU, for reasoning, common sense, deep reasoning, mathematics, and Python generation, human eval, etc. And all of the numbers are bolded, as though they're better than all the other numbers. But in fact, they're not better than any of the other numbers. They're better like only two of them, which is really confusing, very Amazon-like. So I actually found a person who went one by one and compared and like highlighted where Amazon, like the table that they should have released. So basically their model that was just released is better only at instruction following, by a little bit, and the translation Flores 200 just also by a little bit, but everything else, obviously Claude is way better on every other topic. These models are not released anywhere. They're only available through Bedrock, through Amazon Bedrock, exclusive to Amazon Bedrock, and context Lex is pretty impressive. 300K, very impressive, honestly. Like, if anything, a highlight here for Amazon is that obviously they're gonna do scale. AWS is their like main, you know, go through, and 200 plus languages. I think that's also very impressive. They have the translation for Flores 200. This is like the benchmark. 200 plus languages at 300K tokens context length. I think is very impressive. Basically, performance is like similar to Llama 3.1, not to Claude, GPT-4, or Gemini, and it makes sense for them not to compete with Anthropic because, well, they're big investment in Anthropic. They don't want to undercut Anthropic as well. Something about watermarking capabilities from Amazon as well, and they could be fine-tuned. The biggest thing, the most important biggest thing is that comparatively, those models are now the cheapest models that you can kind of play with Micro coming in at 3.5 cents per million input tokens and only 14 cents per million output tokens. That's cheaper than Google Gemini Flash. I think that this is like the thing that Simon Wilson was like the most excited about, specifically the price. So let's take a look at Simon Wilson's excitement. Our friend of the pod, Simon Wilson, who's been here multiple times. Where is his excitement? Yeah, his excitement is all about price specifically. And then he said, I had to check this number 3 times to make sure my calculations at 0.0136 cents per image. I could per image prompt, because these models are multimodal as well. I could generate a text description of every photo in my 67,000 personal photo library using Nova Mini for $9. You can caption almost 70,000 picture personal library for $9. This is insane. Insane how multimodality, like we've been talking about multimodality. Do you guys remember that, when we started ThursdAI, GPT-4 came out and the multimodality was yet to be released? Like GPT-4 was the first like multimodal model with image capabilities, and that feature was not released when ThursdAI was happened. It was only announced and they only released like 6 months later, and now it costs 0.0136 cents now to do image captioning, and it's basically free. It's ridiculous. I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
Today may be the day where we get the cheapest AI and the most expensive in one day.
Wow, that's true.
Rumors are true.
That's absolutely true. If we get like the most expensive AI, that's gonna be insane. So yeah, Nova is from Amazon. It looks like Mistral is a little bit. I think Lincoln, a friend of the pod, was commented that Mistral is still like a little bit cheaper. Mistral 3 billion parameter on their platform, but it looks like from like the big players, it looks like this is kind of the cheapest per. Oh. Interesting. So Claude 3.5 Haiku got a price drop yesterday as well. So this is the foundational models from Nova from AWS. I think this is most of the update. There's nothing else interesting there. The only other thing that there is interesting is Amazon announced guardrails, AWS guardrails. Yes, this one. I wanted to mention this because next week I'm going to talk to you about guardrails from Weights and Biases. So super briefly, I will also tell you that Amazon doesn't do just models. They do the whole holistic approach, right? Because like this is like businesses trying to come at them. And Nistan, who's missing in action today, who's supposed to come and talk about a bunch of stuff at Nova because he tried them and he went on this like glorious rant that like he tried on Bedrock actually. Like Nistan, he is missing in action probably because he needs to. I don't know where he's at. He tried and I think he like got his credit like limited, but basically he did try to work with this Nova for actual customers. Amazon is trying to offer a full service, and guardrails is a very important piece of the service because many foundational models offer guardrails. Open source like models don't offer guardrails, for example, but sometimes you want to build guardrails of your own. Guardrails is kind of the boundaries for toxicity and bias and different other things. So we will talk to you about guardrails and what those mean next week. I just wanted to mention that Amazon also released this, and they didn't only release models, they also released like a bunch of business tools around models as well for folks who are building with them. So that's it about Amazon. We have 8 minutes till the live stream, which I think we already have the link for. So let's go there and check. They're probably not going to start on time, but we're going to tune in on time as well. I think we'll talk about Genie next. Genie is super cool. What do you guys think? Genie, I think, is super cool as well.
Yeah, Genie, and then also World Labs announced something in the past couple of days too.
Yeah, very, very similar. So we'll start with World Labs because it feels like it's kind of that, but less impressive a little bit. Dr. Fei Fei Li, who's like super, famous, I guess, founded World Labs, which is basically the whole idea is like to create world models. And basically they showed the first example of work where it's a system to generate 3D worlds from a single image. World Labs announced their work and showed incredible system to show early results where you can interact with screens in the browser. Let's actually do that super quick. So folks who are like seeing our screen can see me interact with an image. There was an image, and now I can use my WASD keys like you would in a game, and my mouse to actually move within the picture. You can see that I'm moving in like a 3D screen, and I can turn it around. And I think that when I turn around, most of it was actually generated. Yes, like obviously, because we start with this picture, let's say. When I turn around, all of this is now generated. And I can move within this, and some boundaries of this, you can see there's like a parallax effect, so you can see like a 3D reconstruction. This is quite crazy. You can move left and right. You can see this. This is quite insane.
Yeah, imagine this in VR, where you can just walk through the landscape and explore.
So this is not super realistic. OpenAI just posted 12 days starts now. Let's make sure that we're not missing this. And then, yeah, we'll make sure that we're not missing this. So this is from World Labs from Dr. Fei-Fei Li. Building world models, that's one. And Genie from Google then released pretty much the same day. This is crazy how like things happen simultaneously. Genie 2 from Google, it's I think even more insane because while Dr. Fei-Fei Li allowed to generate a model and kind of walk a little bit in this, the Genie 2 model from Google allows for a 1-minute playable world from an image. They take an image that was generated with a Google Imagen 3, and they generate a playable world in it. It's quite crazy. For up to 1 minute, they have a character in there running, and they have so many worlds in there. So we can look at an example. Actually, we can look at those examples here. Oh, let me zoom out. Sorry. Literally, it looks like a little bit of a Doom, but imagine like you generate just any image with a robot like standing, and it will generate like 3D structures. The things that they showed, that generates 3D structures, it generates like a boat on the water, so it generates physics on the water, it generates roads, it has long-term memory, so you can see like their system generates a structure, then you turn around and like it's behind you, then you turn back and the structure is still there. Like stuff like this, like insane stuff like this. Absolutely crazy. And the thing that to highlight here is that that work will definitely help like robotics research and AGI research, because like this would be trained within these worlds. Like these worlds will be created, basically simulations, and up to 1 minute these worlds will like happen in there. Diverse environments will be created. Not to mention that, you know, soon the fidelity of these worlds will become very close to reality. But yeah, absolutely insane.
We will need this when we have AGI that does the job, so we can keep ourselves occupied.
Yes, absolutely. All right, folks, I think it's let's make sure that we're not missing OpenAI. I want to make sure that we're not missing OpenAI. I think they just posted the actual link, and I think it's going to take them like 5 minutes to actually start. But let's make sure we're pulling in, and we're, like we said, we're gonna live stream this here. Oh, they have like a nice animation here, and they're gonna get started. They say it started soon, but it's like in 4 minutes. So we're gonna show this. Actually, I'm gonna make sure that you guys hear the sound so that
Welcome to the official.
All right. Hopefully you heard the sound here, but that's not the thing that I want to show you, because obviously I'll show you this later. Copy video URL, and I just making sure that we hear the sound. We hear the sound. Sound check.
It's working.
Folks in the Twitter space, could you do a sound check for me, please? Lucas, if you're still with us on stage, can you tell me if you hear like background music?
Yeah, you can hear a little bit, yeah.
A little bit, not super loud?
Well, yeah, I mean, you want it to come through, right?
Yeah, but just like, okay, folks on X telling me that there's sound, and just on Twitter spaces, I want to see if there's sound as well.
Yeah, it's good now. It's good now.
Okay, awesome.
It looks like with Tibor, we have 3 models basically confirmed. There's O1, there's O1 Pro, and there's GPT 4.5.
What?
And these are, so here, if you look at the tweet that I sent you in the side chat.
Yeah, let me take a look.
And so they're like in the code, and this is actually confirmed by multiple people. We already know Tibor is the really trusted source, but other people other than Tibor also confirmed this, that in the ChatGPT website code, it is showing GPT 4.5 references now. And it seems like they're like kind of like taking it out and like publishing it. Like it sounds like maybe they accidentally published it early or something and then
Yeah.
removed it. I don't know.
All right, I want to make sure that we're hearing this properly and that we're not going to miss any of the conversation. But meanwhile, we can probably go mute. Right. Oh, it looks like Wolfram was saying it's a lot. Okay, folks, we're gonna start live streaming when they start live streaming, supposedly in 1 minute. Live streams usually go late sometimes, but it's OpenAI. They may start right on time. We're gonna restream and then we're gonna discuss everything that they've covered. But LDJ, looks like we already got some news. All right, folks, it's go time. Thank you for joining us for a watch party for OpenAI's new releases for 12 days of OpenAI. Let's go.
You saw the $200 per month subscription as well.
Yeah. We have a nice like animation because we don't know where it actually starts. So so what do we speculate for now? We don't know. Oh, so we know O1 Pro, but there we go.
Hello. Welcome to the 12 days of OpenAI. We're going to try something that, as far as we know, no tech company has done before, which is every day for the next 12.
I'll mute.
Every weekday, we are going to launch or demo some new thing that we built. And we think we've got some great stuff for you starting today. We hope you'll really love it. And we'll try to make these fun and fast and not take too long, but it'll be a way to show you what we've been working on and a little holiday present from us. So we'll jump right into this first day. Today we actually have two things to launch. The first one is the full version of O1. We have been very hard at work. We've listened to your feedback. You like O1 Preview, but you want it to be smarter and faster and be multimodal and be better at instruction following, a bunch of other things. So we've put a lot of work into this, and for scientists, engineers, coders, we think they will really love this new model. I'd like to show you quickly about how it performs. So you can see the jump from GPT-4o to O1 Preview across math, competition coding, GPQA, Diamond, and you can see that O1 is a pretty big step forward. It's also much better in a lot of other ways, but raw intelligence is something that we care about. Coding performance in particular is an area where people are using the model a lot. So in just a minute, these guys will demo some things about O1. They'll show you how it does at speed, how it does at really hard problems, how it does with multimodality. But first, I want to talk just for a minute about the second thing we're launching today. A lot of people, power users of ChatGPT at this point, they really use it a lot. And they want more compute than $20 a month can buy. So we're launching a new tier, ChatGPT Pro. And Pro has unlimited access to our models and also things like advanced voice mode. It also has a new thing called O1 Pro mode. So O1 is the smartest model in the world now, except for O1 being used in Pro mode. And for the hardest problems that people have, O1 Pro mode lets you do even a little bit better. So you can see a competition math, you can see a GPQA Diamond, and these boosts may look small, but in complex workflows where you're really pushing the limits of these models, it's pretty significant. I'll show you one more thing about the Pro mode. So one thing that people really have said they want is reliability. And here you can see how the reliability of an answer from Pro mode compares to O1, and this is an even stronger delta. And again, for our Pro users, we've heard a lot about how much people want this. ChatGPT Pro is $200 a month, launches today. Over the course of these 12 days, we have some other things to add to it that we think you'll also really love, but unlimited model use and this new O1 Pro mode. So I want to jump right in, and we'll show some of those demos that we talked about. And these are some of the guys that helped build O1 with many other people behind them on the team.
Thanks, Sam. Hi, I'm Hyungwon.
I'm Jason. And I'm Max. We're all research scientists who worked on building O1. O1 is really distinctive because it's the first model we've trained that thinks before it responds, meaning it gives much better and often more detailed and more correct responses than other models you might have tried. O1 is being rolled out today to all Plus and soon-to-be Pro subscribers on ChatGPT, replacing O1 Preview.
O1 model is faster and smarter than the O1 Preview model, which we launched in September. After the launch, many people asked about the multimodal input, so we added that. So now the O1 model live today is able to reason through both images and text jointly.
As Sam mentioned, today we're also going to launch a new tier of ChatGPT called ChatGPT Pro. ChatGPT Pro offers unlimited access to our best models like O1, 4.0, and Advanced Voice. ChatGPT Pro also has a special way of using O1 called O1 Pro Mode. With O1 Pro Mode, you can ask the model to use even more compute to think even harder on some of the most difficult problems. We think the audience for ChatGPT Pro will be the power users of ChatGPT, those who are already pushing the models to the limits of their capabilities on tasks like math, programming, and writing.
It's been amazing to see how much people are pushing O1 Preview, how much people who do technical work all day get out of this, and we're really excited to let them push it further.
Yeah, sure. We also really think that O1 will be much better for everyday use cases, not necessarily just really hard math and programming problems. In particular, one piece of feedback we received about O1 Preview constantly was that it was way too slow. It would think for 10 seconds if you said hi to it. And we fixed that.
That was really annoying.
It was kind of funny, honestly. Yeah. It really thought, it cared.
Really thought hard about saying hi back to you. Yeah.
And so we fixed that. O1 will now think much more intelligently. If you ask it a simple question, it'll respond really quickly. And if you ask it a really hard question, it'll think for a really long time. We ran a pretty detailed suite of human evaluations for this model. And what we found was that it made major mistakes about 34% less often than O1 Preview, while thinking fully about 50% faster. And we think this will be a really, really noticeable difference for all of you. So I really enjoy just talking to these models. I'm a big history buff, and I'll show you a really quick demo of, for example, a sort of question that I might ask one of these models. So right here, on the left, I have O1. On the right, I have O1 Preview. And I'm just asking it a really simple history question. List the Roman emperors of the 2nd century, tell me about their dates, what they did. Not hard, but you know, GPT-4o actually gets this wrong a reasonable fraction of the time. And so I've asked O1 this, I've asked O1 Preview this. I tested this offline a few times, and I found that O1 on average responded about 60% faster than O1 Preview. This could be a little bit variable because right now we're in the process of swapping all our GPUs from O1 Preview to O1. So actually, O1 thought for about 14 seconds. O1 Preview still going.
There's a lot of Roman emperors.
There's a lot of Roman emperors. Yeah, 4.0 actually gets this wrong a lot of the time. There are a lot of folks who ruled for like 6 days, 12 days, a month, and it sometimes forgets those.
Can you do them all from memory, including the 6-day people?
No. Yep, so here we go. O1 thought for about 14 seconds. O1 Preview thought for about 33 seconds.
These should both be faster once we finish deploying, but we wanted this to go live right now.
Exactly. So yeah, we think you'll really enjoy talking to this model. We found that it gave great responses. It thought much faster. It should just be a much better user experience for everyone. So one other feature we know that people really wanted for everyday use cases that we've had requested a lot is multimodal inputs and image understanding. And Hyungwon is going to talk about that now.
Yep. To illustrate the multimodal input and reasoning, I created this toy problem with some hand-drawn diagrams and so on. So here it is. It's hard to see, so I already took a photo of this. And so let's look at this photo in a laptop. So once you upload the image into the ChatGPT, you can click on it and to see the zoomed-in version. So this is a system of a data center in space. So maybe in the future, we might want to train AI models in the space.
I think we should do that, but the power number looks a little low.
1 gigawatt.
1 gigawatt?
Yeah, okay.
But the general idea, I think.
Rookie numbers in this
Yeah,
business.
rookie numbers.
Okay. Yeah. So we have a sun right here taking in power on this solar panel. And then there's a small data center here.
That's exactly what they look like.
Yeah. Yep. GPU racks. And then pump, nice pump here. And one interesting thing about operation in space is that on Earth, we can do air cooling, water cooling to cool down the GPUs. But in space, there's nothing there. So we have to radiate this heat into the deep space. And that's why we need this giant radiator cooling panel. And this problem is about finding the lower bound estimate of the cooling panel area required to operate this 1 gigawatt data center.
Probably going to be very big.
Yeah. Let's see how big it is.
Let's see.
So that's the problem. I'm going to this prompt, and yeah, this is essentially asking for that. So let me hit go, and the model will think for seconds.
By the way, most people don't know, I've been working with Hyungwon for a long time. Hyungwon actually has a PhD in thermodynamics, which it's totally unrelated to AI, and you always joke that you haven't been able to use your PhD work in your job until today. So you can trust Hyungwon on this analysis.
Finally. Thanks for hyping up. Now I really have to get this right. Okay, so the model finished thinking, only 10 seconds. It's a simple problem. So let's see if how the model did it. So power input. So first of all, this 1 gigawatt, that was only drawn in the paper. So the model was able to pick that up nicely. And then radiative heat transfer only. That's the thing I mentioned. So in space, nothing else. And then some simplifying choices. And one critical thing is that I intentionally made this problem underspecified, meaning that the critical parameter is the temperature of the cooling panel. I left it out so that we can test out the model's ability to handle ambiguity and so on. So the model was able to recognize that this is actually a unspecified but important parameter, and it actually picked the right range of temperature, which is about the room temperature. And with that, it continues to the analysis and does a whole bunch of things, and then found out the area, which is 2.42 million square meters. Just to get a sense of how big this is about 2% of the land area of San Francisco. This is huge.
Not that bad.
Not that bad, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I guess this is reasonable. I'll skip through the rest of the details, but I think the model did a great job making nice, consistent assumptions that make the required area as little as possible. And so, yeah, so this is the demonstration of the multimodal reasoning. And this is a simple problem, but O1 is actually very strong, and on standard benchmarks like MMMU and MathVista, O1 actually has the state-of-the-art performance. Now, Jason will showcase the Pro mode.
Great. So I want to give a short demo of ChatGPT O1 Pro mode. People will find O1 Pro mode the most useful for, say, hard math, science, or programming problems. So here I have a pretty challenging chemistry problem that O1 preview gets usually incorrect. And so I will let the model start thinking. One thing we've learned with these models is that for these very challenging problems, the model can think for up to a few minutes. I think for this problem, the model usually thinks anywhere from 1 minute to up to 3 minutes. And so we have to provide some entertainment for people while the model is thinking. So I'll describe the problem a little bit, and then if the model's still thinking when I'm done, I've prepared a dad joke for us to fill the rest of the time. So
I hope it thinks for a long time.
You can see the problem asks for a protein that fits a very specific set of criteria. So there are 6 criteria, and the challenge is each of them asks for pretty chemistry domain-specific knowledge that the model would have to recall. And the other thing to know about this problem is that none of these criteria actually give away what the correct answer is. So for any given criteria, there could be dozens of proteins that might fit that criteria. And so the model has to think through all the candidates and then check if they fit all the criteria. OK, so you could see the model actually was faster this time. So it finished in 53 seconds. You can click and see some of the thought process that the model went through to get the answer. You could see it's thinking about different candidates like neuroligin initially. And then it arrives at the correct answer, which is retinochisin, which is great. OK, so to summarize, we saw from Max that O1 is smarter and faster than O1 preview. We saw from Hyungwon that O1 can now reason over both text and images. And then finally, we saw with ChatGPT Pro mode, you can use O1 to think about to reason about the hardest science and math problems.
Yep. There's more to come for the ChatGPT Pro tier. We're working on even more compute-intensive tasks to power longer and bigger tasks for those who want to push the model even further. And we're still working on adding tools to the O1 model, such as web browsing, file uploads, and things like that.
We're also hard at work to bring O1 to the API. We're going to be adding some new features for developers, structured outputs, function calling, developer messages, and API image understanding, which we think you'll really enjoy. We expect this to be a great model for developers and really unlock a whole new frontier of agentic things you guys can build. We hope you love it as much as we do.
That was great. Thank you guys so much. Congratulations to you and the team on getting this done. We really hope that you'll enjoy O1 and Pro Mode or Pro Tier. We have a lot more stuff to come. Tomorrow we'll be back with something great for developers, and we'll keep going from there. Before we wrap up, can we hear your joke?
Yes. So I made this joke this morning. The joke is this. So Santa was trying to get his large language model to do a math problem, and he was prompting it really hard, but it wasn't working. How did he eventually fix it?
No idea.
He used reindeer enforcement learning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great job, guys.
All right, folks.
That was great.
There you have it. We got a bunch of stuff. Let's talk about this.
So they did announce I think they announced the subscription, but just didn't say the price, right?
Yeah, I don't think.
They said it.
No, they did. It was 200. It's 200 a month.
Yeah, 200.
Okay, yeah.
200.
So in that case, I mean, I've been waiting for something where you could have less rate limits and also use the native interfaces while simultaneously just, having to pay more. And I'm glad that, I think Anthropic should do this too.
So we got some stats as well. They kind of flashed it, but I was able to catch. So let's take a look. We got 2 new models basically. That's what they're saying. I think that it's the same model, maybe with more thinking. Is that how I understood this? They just give us more test time compute in the Pro mode.
They said something about 4 runs, and if all 4 give the same response, then it is accepted. So I guess it's something like that.
Yeah, let me see if I can. Let's see if I can show this screen here. This is what I was able to catch. On competition math, we got O1 preview previously getting 56 on AIME, and now O1 is getting 83%. It's getting close to solve 100% of competition math, folks. I'll just repeat this. O1, the reasoning model from OpenAI, the top one, the best one in the world, is getting close to solving 100%. Like, it's insane. This is O1. It's not O2. It's not O3. We just talked about kind of on the lower bound. And on competition code, O1 preview is 62. O1 is 89. We got more stats. Thank you, Wolfram. Let's open the actual thing. Oh, 1 second.
It would be interesting to compare, to compare head-to-head cases.
Oh, just like run this ourselves?
It's a little bit expensive nowadays, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with Pro mode, if you pay $200 a month, or pro tier, I guess. So we have competition math. So now we have the 3 head-to-head. So the thing that I got was etc. So Pro mode is even stronger. Competition math gets 86. On competition code, 90 on Pro mode. So pretty much captures everything. And PhD level science question, GPQA Diamond. Those are very hard questions, and you can see how hard they are because these models, preview, O1, and Pro mode, they barely improve. Still improve. 74 in preview, 76 in O1, and 79 in Pro mode. Like, those are very hard questions. GPQA Diamond is like Google proof question and answer for PhD level folks. Wow. Very impressive. The thing that Wolfram, that's what you said, right? O1 Pro mode, improve reliability. We use stricter evaluation setting. The model is only considered to solve a question if it. Oh, so it's not like inference. That's how they tested it. This is the eval that they're doing. They only solve a question if it gets it right 4 out of 4 attempts, not just 1. So this is like they're making sure that like the evals is correct.
That's a great approach.
Yeah,
You should do
and I
all
think that's
evals
good.
4 times.
Yeah, it's good for testing the reliability. That's like hallucinations and stuff. Yeah.
Pro users can access functionality by selecting O1 Pro mode. GPT will display progress bar and set an in-app notification if you switch away to another conversation. That's also new. It thinks for so long that you don't need to be in there, which makes perfect sense. Like, why would you need to stay in there anymore, where you can just go about your day, give it a hard problem, and just go about your day. Pro grants, I don't know what grants are.
They're giving it away for free, I think, to 10 people, so they can use it for medical stuff, which is a great thing. So I have to applaud them for that.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think, okay, so this is what we got. We got 2 new models. I did not get whether or not Pro Preview is staying, or we just got, Preview is staying, or we just got O1 now. Did I get access to this? Did you get this? Let's see. ChatGPT or O and O1. I still have Preview, but maybe I have the preview from this morning where, hey. The thing that I loved what they said is that, that's okay. So they removed the thing that I had in the morning where like it thinks, but this is already better. This thought very quickly about hey. The thing that they mentioned specifically is that it was very annoying to them that when you ask it hey, it thinks for a long time. It really like ponders the question of hey. So they mentioned that it's around 30. What did you say?
30% or something
30%
like
something
that
faster,
or,
right?
Or was it doing less errors? Something like that.
Yeah. Let me see. I mentioned this. I added this in.
It's faster and does less errors. That is
60%. O1 responds around 60% faster than O1 preview. That's amazing. 60% faster than O1 preview. That's quite amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, folks, very impressive. Thank you, OpenAI, for releasing. And of course, I think maybe the biggest update of them all for many folks is it's finally multimodal. We're just talking about how the cheapest and the most expensive model altogether. It's finally multimodal. It was able to solve this ridiculous physics thing from Hyun Wang. I think Hyun Wang is the right, yeah. Hyun Wang, sorry, Hyun Wang. This is the ridiculous like data center in space question. He was able to solve this like fairly quick for like 28 seconds. And they also mentioned in passing, they're getting SOTA performance on MMMU and Math Vista, which is also dope.
Oh, there's the O1 system card available now.
Nice. System card?
Yeah. Here, I can send you the link right now.
Thank you.
Yeah. And also, maybe it's worth mentioning that artificial analysis, which they do measures on like API speeds and benchmarks on models, they measured just in the past couple of weeks that GPT-4o, O1 Preview, and O1 Mini, they all went like 3 to 4 times faster in just like the past couple of weeks. And it seems like my main theory is that OpenAI just rolled out a bunch of production inference on GB200s or something that they got with Microsoft or something. But yeah, there's like significant speed up in multiple model APIs recently.
Yeah, I noticed this in my benchmarks as well, where it got over 100 tokens per second for O.
Yeah, 4.0 went from like 70 tokens per second to over 160 tokens per second.
So what else in the updates? They mentioned some multimodality. What else? Speed, you said, LDJ. System card, we have system card. There's a lot here to read through. 50 pages of things. They have MLE bench. Agentic task, they test on agentic task, and doesn't look like O1 is winning on all of them.
Is there any mention of the context size somewhere? Because that is very important if you can give it a lot of information to work on.
No.
Because the reasoning takes a lot of tokens to generate, I guess.
Yeah. No, context doesn't look like it does. Does not look like it does.
Maybe that's a weak point, because if it was 300,000 like we just heard from another model, then it would probably be specified. We'll have to see when it comes out.
All right, what else do we have, folks? We have, I think those are all the news from OpenAI, folks. let's see in comments what else do we have that's interesting for folks.
Multimodality is cool because when we have AI classes and the best AI on the classes, imagine what you can do then.
We have classes with AI in Meta. Like I'm walking around and I'm asking a bunch of stuff. I found that like it's very helpful with kids when they ask me a bunch of like questions, like about space specifically. I can just like ask. I think we're around like 2 hours. We said we're gonna like have a little bit more, but we're around 2 hours with 5 minutes left over. I want a participation from the audience, folks who are watching us, who are like talking to us in Twitter Space. $200 a month. Who's gonna pay? Raise your hand, or actually drop it in the comments if you're planning to upgrade to the Pro tier for OpenAI, or you're planning for your company. If you're paying, if you're working at a company, if you're planning to pay. I see folks. All right, so very interesting. Somebody says no one, and then immediately Ray says I'm all in. See, so we already have. Equinox Gym is more expensive. Folks are already saying paying this right now already. So it's very interesting that people are saying that other people are not going to pay, and some people are saying we're already paying. Very, very interesting.
It's per month.
Yeah.
Month, so you can cancel it if you don't need it the next month, and then you can get it again if you want to, or you can probably use it as a company with one account. So that is cheap. Then 10 users of the normal account is already the same price.
Yeah, Brian is also in. This is the Equinox. You see, we have other folks are in. I love it that other folks who don't want to pay, they say no one will pay for this. Folks, there's 300 million users for ChatGPT. 300 million. This is Sam confirmed this yesterday. 300 million users monthly. That's a lot of users. 1% of them will pay. Let's say 1% of them will upgrade. That's a lot of revenue for OpenAI.
Yeah, maybe.
That's insane. All right, we'll see what else they will release. We'll not be live streaming for all of this, but maybe next week we'll cover something. Out of the big things that we wanted to cover and didn't cover, let's run through them for the next 10 minutes. But before this, folks, this show is brought to you by Weights and Biases, and Weights and Biases announced also this week. I would say this is more exciting than O1 full, but obviously it's not. But once the O1 API comes, you will obviously have to build with it. Oh, by the way, they talked about API coming soon. That's also something that's worth mentioning as well. They talked about API coming soon. API is something that many people are waiting for. Meanwhile, the open reasoning models are offering APIs as well. So that's something to wait for. When the API comes, you're going to need to start building with these models, and you're going to need reliability in production. This is where Weights and Biases comes in. Weights and Biases is the sponsor of ThursdAI, and obviously I want to tell you all about our release for this week. So this is now our corner, a little bit at the end, but stick with us because we have a little bit more news to cover, including video model and an audio model with this. But before this, we have the corner on ThursdAI that's called This Week's Buzz. So we've covered the OpenAI announcement. We'll recap at the end. But in ThursdAI, we have this corner called This Week's Bugs, where we talk about this week's bug, what happened with Weights and Biases this week. So let's cover this corner super quick. I will not be talking for this corner. We had our announcement. It was live. Many folks were missed it, and I'll just like replay this announcement from our CEO, Lucas Bewild. So stick with us after this. It's going to be 4 minutes of your time, and then we're gonna keep covering the regular cadence of our show.
Welcome to the official launch of W&B Weave. Weave is a developer tool that helps customers build and monitor production GenAI applications. We've been working on it with pilot customers for over a year, and we're excited to announce that it's in GA. LLMs are incredible. You add a couple lines of code and you get real intelligence inside your programs. you can make unbelievable demos. But what happens when you want to get those demos into production? We built Weave to help you confidently get those demos into production by making it easy to create systematic evaluations and visualize traces of all of your LLM calls. Weave works with everything from internal use cases to high traffic applications live in production. Let me show you 2 real GenAI apps we built using Weave. The first application is OpenUI. OpenUI is an amazing tool that automatically builds websites. You just describe the site you want, or even upload a screenshot, and OpenUI will generate high-quality JavaScript and CSS for a real website that you can actually deploy. Now here's how we built OpenUI. In the development process, we can quickly look through all the websites we generated and get a sense for how well OpenUI is working. Here, we've built a custom set of scores and metrics: relevancy, polish, contrast, and mobile versus desktop quality. We can quickly see which queries give us the best pages and which give us the worst. We can quickly compare the quality of a cheaper LLM to a more expensive one to decide which one to use for a given use case. We've even built end user feedback directly into the app, which is running live on the internet right now. And it logs the feedback back to Weave so we can see in real time which users are happy with their generated web pages and which users are unhappy and improve the product. Our second application is Winston. Winston is a super cool agent that has access to our Gmail, Slack, X, Airtable, and other applications that run tasks for us on our computer. It puts together tools to do useful things for us. For example, I use it to summarize the product newsletters that I get in email and takes those summaries and posts them into Slack for the whole team to read. Winston takes a user input, decides if it's a request, and then decides if it's clear what to do or not for that request, and if it needs to, follows up with more questions. Once Winston knows what to do, it generates a plan, and then it executes that plan. Now, of course, if you have any experience with agents, you know that the plan doesn't always work. And there's quite a lot of mysterious errors that can be tough to debug. Looking at the Weave stack trace, I can quickly see where things went wrong. My generated plan here involves a hallucinated notify tool and a hallucinated filter tool that I don't actually have. The traces here give us the cost and token count of every call that we're making. Most of our calls are fast and cheap, but here we have a much more expensive request. For some reason, this trace cost us 11 cents and used 44,000 tokens and took 18 seconds. What's going on? It turns out that it's sending an entire web page's HTML to GPT. Just converting this website to Markdown gives us exactly the same results, but for half the cost and with only 13 seconds of latency. But to really make Winston powerful, we can't just look at the examples one at a time. We need to be able to quickly iterate on the overall performance. So we built a data set where we feed Winston sample user input and check, is the user actually using the correct tools, and is the input actually asking for a plan? Here, we can quickly see the accuracy of Winston as we iterate on the prompt. We learned that describing the tools in detail actually helps Winston choose the correct tool more accurately. This process lets us quickly try different LLMs and see how well they perform in production. Finally, for a true test of Winston, we need real-life end-user feedback. Here, we've incorporated the ability for the user to directly tell us if Winston's working for them or not, and it's sent back into Weave. At Weights and Biases, we have a ton of experience with how much observability can help AI teams be productive. We've worked with thousands of companies from OpenAI to NVIDIA to Meta to Roche, and we feel so proud of the applications that we've helped them deploy. You can actually get started with Weave with just one line of Python or TypeScript, and already customers like Toyota, Canva, Chanel, and Neuralift are using Weave to build their own GenAI applications. I would love it if you gave Weave a try.
And boom. For some reason, there was some music issue. I need to solve this. All right, folks, we're off. This was Weave in GA. I'm so excited. Like many folks worked really hard for Weave. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me in DMs. We launched Weave in GA. We're going to keep talking about Weave, obviously, a lot. Let's continue with our show because we haven't covered multiple things. I think we'll give because of the OpenAI stuff, which we already covered, we'll give maybe, let's do maybe like more, we'll see. Let's keep talking because there's a bunch of stuff from Google and there's a bunch of stuff in the open that we want to cover as well. So what is the stuff? Let's take a look. I want to say that one of the main things that I personally love this week is the fact that now we're getting in the open a video model that looks incredible. Did you guys see this? Let's definitely talk about Tencent coming in hot, coming in very hot, especially with the paper. So Tencent released, I don't want to mispronounce this, Hunyan video from Tencent. The folks on stream just can see this like absolute insanity. This is a open weights model that is just absolute ridiculousness, high quality. As you guys know, maybe at the end of these 12 days, maybe we'll get Sora finally. Maybe. I don't know. We're hoping. But we talked about this multiple times already. When Sora was announced, Sora was mind-blowing. All of us was like, what the fuck just happened? Our world shifted. Our world changed. We can generate videos now. And since then, we only saw demos of Sora. And since then, we saw Kling, we saw Runway Gen 3, we saw Luma release theirs. We saw just a bunch of like models just like release one after another. We saw a bunch in the open source. And now we have Hunyan video, which I think near Sora level in the open source. This looks like near Sora level. Again, I haven't seen Sora. The only thing close to Sora that we saw is the leak, quote unquote, that we saw a couple of weeks ago, where some frustrated folks released their kind of API keys behind the Hugging Face space, if you guys remember, and some of those videos did look very realistic. So Hunyan video is a model that is not only video. This is like the most impressive things about this. I saw this a couple of days ago when it released. It was very late, and I started reading in their paper. And LDJ, I think you'll love this one. I don't know if you had the chance to read like the paper or the report, but besides the high realism for this paper, this model does. So first of all, it does like all of the things that the model, the video model do. It has the dynamics. It has like some physics, continuous action shots, beautiful physics as you guys see, like a cat eating a burger, for example, right here, or licking the burger. I think it generates 720 pixels. Cinematic video. I love specifically. Folks on the internet loved the hair physics on this specific video, specifically the bouncing hair they loved here. Native camera cuts. This one I like. The camera cuts were like very impressive as well. So the model generates multiple videos and kind of like with camera cuts, which was also very, very cool. The thing that I didn't understand about this model is this. So the folks on stream, you probably don't see this, don't hear this, but this model generates audio. This model is also an audio generator, and it also does lip syncing. So these characters are singing, and the lip syncing is also happening with this model. So like the apps like HeyGen and other like character animations, etc. This model that's like video generation also does that. Which is like
holy,
right?
Wow, I wouldn't believe it. Wow.
And I didn't understand at first because I'm looking at at this UI, like at the website, and I was like, because it's very simple. They say like voice control, voice driven. Yeah. Oh, their website has a bug where you scroll and like everything starts playing. And then they also have Foley. So folks in the audio industry know that like movies, when you hear movies, they didn't actually record all those sounds in the movie. There's people behind the scenes who take shoes and like walk with them near a microphone, like on concrete. So this model does that sounds. Actually, maybe I should share with sound so folks on stream can hear properly. And I do this by sharing a tab. I can just do this. Okay, you guys can hear. So this sound that you guys are hearing is generated by this model as well. So remember when I said video model? It's not a video model anymore. Like this is a multi-model generator or whatever. So the prompt for this one is a car engine revs. And the prompt for this one is water is rushing down the stream and pouring. And I'm pretty sure that like the video that we're seeing, folks on stream, you can see as well. The video was also generated by this model, including the audio. So obviously, when you have video and it's quiet, which is one of the problems with not problems, but with Sora, this model also generates the sound. And then I scroll even more. Wolfram, you're gonna love this. This model drives like animations as well, so like expressions and animations. So you take a face. There was other models specifically for this, but like this model drives animation, takes an image, takes an animated video, and drives the animation based on that. Let's see. So it takes this one still image, takes this video, and generates this thing. There's models that are only this, that are like Sora. There's a competition, I think, in papers with code that only do this. They get like prizes, whatever. And there's like one model that does all of these things, and I think it's 17 billion parameters, something crazy like this.
They
and it does
obsoleted
more.
so much stuff.
I have no idea how they shoved like so many things. It's like a kitchen sink of like things. It does puppeteering as well. Like it has full body puppeteering with hands, and yeah, like I see your face and you're like in disbelief. It has a paper as well. I haven't actually tried it. I only tried like video generation once. But like in paper, they showed that, yeah, I don't have a Chinese phone number to try this. But they have a paper on GitHub, and it shows an example of a puppeteering thing. And they say that like a video to like image to video is coming soon. So, folks, this model is coming, or I guess, sorry, this model is in open source. It does an amazing amount of things together, and you can try out at least the text to video of this model already on everywhere, Runway and FAL. And right now it takes quite a long time to generate some stuff with it, but it's going to take less time. Obviously, the open source community is going to pick it up. So if we have somebody filmmaking talent with cutting edge AI technology, Tyrone, do you have experience with this model? You want to come back and talk to us? You want to give us an example? Let's test this. Let's give you a minute. Tyrone, give us a reaction for. Oh no, we cannot. There was an error adding Tyrone. Okay, we're moving on. We're moving on because there's another thing that launched this week, was crazy as well, which is Fish Speech 1.5. Fish. Let's go. Fish Speech.
I'm so happy I'm done with the benchmarks because I want to try these things.
Yeah, Fish Speech. Let's go. So another thing that launched, which was also kind of crazy, also state of the art, also in the open source. I wanted to highlight this as well before we get off the stream. We love talking about like TTS. We talked about 11 Labs, obviously.
Hey everyone, I'm super excited to share that after months of dedicated work, Fish Audio 1.5 has officially launched, and wow, what an upgrade it is. We've made huge strides in accuracy, stability.
I basically said, like, let them announce themselves. This is generated speech for Fish Audio.
Cross-language capabilities and emotional expression. Plus, we've added support for 5 new languages. Pretty amazing, right?
That's pretty cool.
The sunshine is really wonderful today. Don't you feel that your mood is also brightened up?
The cool thing about this is VB, a friend of the pod from Hugging Face, Vibov, who's running the TTS arena on Hugging Face, said that's only 500 million parameters and it's trained on 1 million hours of audio, which is huge comparatively. It's huge. And it's low latency, less than 150 milliseconds. Again, I say this every stream. Everything under 300 milliseconds to us humans is instantaneous. And so this could be low latency. That's what we expect from like real-time interfaces. And it's open, non-commercial license, but open for research. And the best part, it's currently ranking number 2. So you guys know, like we talk about LM Arena, comparing LLMs. The same thing happens with the TTS Arena. They have this thing where you go to the TTS Arena and then you kind of compare between different things. This model in blind tests of people just listening to different TTSs and say this one's better, is beating others. It only comes second to 11 Labs, which I found incredible. And so I just wanted to highlight the fact that, we're getting these incredible things in the open source, open weights. So both video is beating proprietary models. HY Video from Tencent, based on their benchmarks, I think they said 1,500 or so videos, they beat Runway Gen 3 and Luma Labs, Luma Dream Machine 1.6, which just recently came out. This one is beating all but 11 labs. So like, PlayHT and some other ones, Cartesia, I think, as well. I think it's incredible highlight to the open source community, folks. Don't you agree that like we're getting models in open weights, they're beating incumbents in like closed and paid for, you can download and use on your machines, and all in the same week, as we're getting the top tier, super most expensive model in the world that you have to pay for, that's beating GPQA at like 90%. I think it's very
week. Express has come early.
Insane week. I think that's most of what we wanted to like highlight for this week. Fish Speech, Tencent. We covered Genie just a little bit. Nova, GenCast, I think, is the last one. Yam, I want to hear from you about GenCast, because I found it like extremely awesome.
Incredible. I don't know what you need to run it to actually enjoy all of it, but
one TPU apparently.
Yeah, but if let's say that you want to run it on, I don't know, locally or something, you want to train something like this locally.
So let's present it first and then talk about this, because I think it's like incredible, just incredible. DeepMind and Google released a paper in Nature about a state-of-the-art weather prediction called GenCast. And unlike their previous weather prediction model, state-of-the-art, which was deterministic, so an algorithm, this one is a generative AI. That's why they call it GenCast. This is a diffusion model. This is the same technology, the same transformer-based, correct?
I think so. The most important thing here to understand is not about the weather, in my opinion. It's more about the using diffusion models auto-regressively. Because if you think about it, when you're diffusing an image, it's like a video, like you're like denoising the image step by step. So there is some sort of a link between diffusion models and autoregressive models in a sense, and this paper just show it like beautifully. They use the diffusion concept for basically predicting into the future, like step by step, and taking multiple different possibilities of what the future might be, and then just ensemble them together to get a final prediction. And they just pull off the whole pipeline end to end on an extremely hard problem. Like weather prediction is an extremely hard problem. So it just goes to show how like the method itself has so much potential for so many things. So yeah, that's what I think about the whole thing.
Yet another thing that's solved with like generative AI, which was I found like very, very crazy. European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecasts, ECMWF. ENS was the previous like state-of-the-art model, and it does like 15 days in advance. This model beats that model, and the quality with which it beats this is GenCast was more accurate than ENS on 97% of more than 1,300 predictions in total, and 99% on lead times greater than 36 hours. So like in weather predictions for longer than 36 hours. The thing that highlights this for me though is not this, it's this one. It takes a single Google Cloud TPU v5 just 8 minutes to produce one 15-day forecast in GenCast ensemble, and every forecast in the ensemble can be generated simultaneously in parallel. Traditional physics-based ensemble, such as those produced by ENS, take hours on a supercomputer with tens of thousands of processors. hours. So this model, not only being, generative AI, etc., not only being 99% like beating that model, the previous state of the art, is taking 8 minutes on a single TPU on Google, which Google has bajillion of. They have them like, they have an insane amount of TPUs, obviously. They beat the previous model that takes hours on a supercomputer, like a dedicated supercomputer. I found that just like laughably amazing. Because like this is like a sentiment of everything we talk about here on ThursdAI, where when we launched this podcast unofficially 2 years ago when GPT-4 launched, Greg came in with a paper and draw, and we were like, oh my God, image multimodality, LLMs can see. And now we just talked about this, 80,000, 70,000 picture library cost $9 overall to caption overall. And we just saw that like the most expensive thing in the world can also see now, and now we're seeing that the best weather prediction in the world can beat a supercomputer bound prediction with just 8 minutes on a single TPU as well. It just like feels the acceleration is Wolfram, I agree with you. Feel the acceleration. I think with this we can finish ThursdAI for today, folks. I think that let's highlight the multiple things that we talked about today. Obviously, the breaking news started and continued with OpenAI. 12 days of shipments. They're gonna do one tomorrow and the next day and the next day. The week of shipping is not new. Companies like Supabase have done this, etc. OpenAI, kudos to them, because everybody's going to tune in and they're going to release probably Sora at the end, hopefully. But what they released today was O1 full, not preview. It looks significantly better than O1 preview, faster as well. They said 60% faster. They also released O1 Pro mode, which looks like they're just dedicating more compute to Pro mode. They also released Pro tier, which costs $200 a month with unlimited O1, unlimited voice mode, unlimited a bunch of other stuff. It costs 10 times as much as the previous tier for $20 a month. So those are the updates for OpenAI today. We also talked about 3 new open models, open source models. We talked about Distro and Demo from News Research, decentralized 15 billion parameter run that's finished running today, and hopefully it will train a model called, I think, Psycho very soon. We talked about with Lucas from RCI about Prime Intellect's Intellect 1 10 billion parameter, also decentralized model that was released recently, that's matching Llama 2. So it's a model that was trained decentralized fashion, but it matches a model that was trained by Meta and released from a year ago. It's insane to say the Llama 2 was a year ago. And then we also talked about Rulia DeepThought, another reasoning model from friends of the pod, Pharrell, Sendext, and Alpin, who are involved. It's an 8 billion parameter Llama fine-tuned that is learned to think, and the transparent reasoning is at play. They also have an API for folks to play with, and it has test-time compute scaling as well. We just now covered GenCast, which is the diffusion model, which we didn't say is the weights and the dataset was open sourced by Google, which is huge. It's huge for the weather community. It's amazing. Thank you, Google, for open sourcing. Incredible. Another open source today from Google is Gemma, the Gemma 2, which is a set of vision models from Google, and we haven't tested them yet. We'll see how well they compare to Pixtral, which currently, based on LMC Serena, Pixtral is the top one. It beats Quen VL. Based on some metrics. We talked about Amazon releasing a series of foundational models called Nova, which is a bunch of models specifically competitive on price, not necessarily on performance, but fairly competitive as well. We talked about Google Genie creating playable worlds from a picture, including worlds playable up to 1 minute and characters can run. Those worlds are 3D. They can remember physics in those worlds. Is quite incredible. We also mentioned Dr. Fei-Fei's lab that also is building worlds from images as well. We mentioned the Weights and Biases Weave was launched in GA, including some real use cases that Weights and Biases have built, including using Weave for those use cases. And we saw a video and we heard a video from Lucas Bewild, the CEO, analyzing some of the use cases for Weave. We beautifully watched a new video or video plus model. I don't know how to call this, called HY Video from Tencent, beating Luma and Runway proprietary models, but also doing puppeteering and audio folding and like a bunch of other stuff, which is crazy. This model is crazy. Also releasing open source everywhere but in Europe, which we didn't talk about this license, but this license is basically commercial up to 100 million users everywhere but in Europe. That's the license for Tencent video model. And we finished with Fish Speech 1.5, which is a TTS text-to-speech model that sounds very natural, that ends up at number 2 at the TTS arena, just after 11 Labs, which also beats incumbents and proprietary models paid for. And I think that that's also awesome. I think overall it's been an insane week in AI. As always, we're here to cover all of it for you. Today is a little bit longer than usual because we also watched a stream for like 15 minutes in the watch party. We had over 2,500 people watch with us today and tune in everywhere. So I want to thank everyone who tuned in. And I want to thank our co-hosts for today, Yam, LDJ, Wolfram. Thank you guys so much for another banger week. Everybody who joined us, I want to thank Weave, our co-host in the Twitter space. Folks, give Weave a follow. The Square profile, Weave is a new handle that I'm in charge of running. So please help me do my job and follow Weave and help me engage with this. And this is ThursdAI for today. If you missed any part of the show, we're going to release this as a newsletter and a podcast everywhere where you get your podcasts, with the links and everything that we've shared throughout the show, so you won't miss any part of this. With that, we'll see you next week. Next week is Neuro IPS week. So NeurIPS is one of the biggest machine learning and conferences in the world. I'm going to be live streaming from NeurIPS during the show, so follow me on like LinkedIn, Twitter, etc. And then the show itself will happen from NeurIPS as well. We'll see how I'll manage that, probably from a hotel somewhere. We may just do an audio show next week. We'll see. We'll see. But the show next week is going to be from NeurIPS. If you're in NeurIPS, come to the Weights and Biases booth 404. You can find it. It's 404. Yeah, we'll see you next week. Show. This was the ThursdAI for December 5th. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye, everyone. How do we do bye-bye? We do bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And